What's the best exercise schedule at midlife? Listen, 2 listener questions beg the answer to the best exercise schedule at midlife. And so in this episode, I'll share the answer to both and reflect on the science of frequency and intensity of the variables leading to fitness for women in midlife. To do that, I'll define it for you in case you're wondering just what is midlife. The questions are, what is the best exercise schedule for midlife women? And what's the best exercise schedule at midlife? So there you have it. There are some details inside, and I will cover those as we go through this episode. I'm Deborah Atkinson. You're listening to Flipping 50, where I address your top struggles and concerns. Hopefully, I've caught you before you know to ask about them, and they are concerns. But mostly what we hope to do is inspire you here. I share what to eat, how to move, and how to change your mindset, often about what to eat and how to move, so that you can have the energy and vitality that you want, need, and deserve in the second and better half. This episode is brought to you by our sponsors, twofold. One, right here from Flipping 50, we are either opening or will, because this is offered a few times a year, but not always predictable, the 10-day Hot Not Bothered Challenge. And coming this year, something very, very special later in the year. And I'll announce that a little bit closer as we get there. No matter when you're listening, though, the 10-day Hot Not Bothered Challenge is a great way for you if you're not seeing results from the program you're doing, or you need to start or restart. You need to really connect how your exercise and what you're doing may be positively or negatively impacting your hormones. And during the 10 days, I will shelter you and support you with the right kind of exercise. So I'll put the link to that in the show notes. Details will be there on that page for you. But right now, we're going to dive right in. The second thing I've got for you is something that I've been using. I'm in the second month of use right now, and I can see myself doing it again in maybe 4 or 5 months. But I'm using a continuous glucose monitor. You can go to flipping50.com/glucose, and you can see the one that I'm using. In fact, by just landing there, you'll see me talking about it a little bit. And I am in like day 3 of my second month, and I have literally hit the ground running. I'm going to be monitoring and changing and very specifically testing some things to see what's my blood sugar response to that. Because if, my friends, you're carrying fat weight around your body, like belly fat specifically, love handles, that kind of thing, often that is tied to blood sugar and or to insulin. So if you want to do something about that, you can't exercise it away. You need to be looking into what effect do certain foods, or when you eat them, or the order you eat them in, have on your blood sugar and insulin levels. So it's an easy way to test, and it is information that you're going to get and be able to use forever. So you can do it for a month, as I have, in 2 different sprints, this being my second after taking a short break. Details later, but let's dive in right now. So the first question I got, and they're so very similar that I've lumped them into one. The first question is, would working upper body 30 to 45 minutes every 96 hours, so we're talking really for her Monday and Friday to get that picture, and working lower body 30 to 45 minutes every 96 hours, be okay since I'm getting at least 72 hours rest between muscle groups? For example, Monday upper, Wednesday lower, Friday upper, Monday lower, Wednesday upper. So that's the illustration she painted. I'm going to answer that question, but I'm also going to dive into here. The next question is this: would weight training 2 times and HIIT 2 times per week still apply to me? I'm 44. I'm used to doing a demanding kettlebell workout 3 to 4 times a week for 15 to 20 minutes and some sort of daily exercise. I feel fatigued and bloated, especially leading to my cycle, despite a healthy diet, making it hard to juggle work and family and a young daughter. Totally get that. My sister, I think at one point said as she was having a heavy hand in caring for her granddaughter, there's a reason 70-year-old people don't have babies. And yet, of course, you're 44, not 70, but I totally get it. Many of you can recognize or identify with that as well. So first, I want to go back to both of you. Now, one of you, the 44-year-old, and I believe Nicole is your name. And ironically, the other question was asked by a Nicky, who, like, the universe was speaking to me right now. So to both of you, I have a little bit more information about how you're feeling, Nicole, at 44 and what you're doing, that those intense kettlebell workouts 3 to 4 times per week, depending on what days, they're only 15 to 20 minutes long. But obviously, if you're fatigued and bloated, I would say right there, you have evidence what you're doing is not working. And collectively, I don't know enough about beyond the exercise, but here's the way I would approach that if I were talking to a private client, and that is this, that if you're fatigued when you've started doing a certain exercise program and the fatigue then comes on, we need to change it. Or if you're starting out fatigued, we would definitely not want to do an intense exercise program, because we have to do the number one tenet of flipping 50. There's 10 of them, like the 10 commandments. You get it. Number one is restore before more. You can't skip ahead and say, well, I'm going to lose the weight first. I'm going to get fit first, and then I'll feel better. No, it won't work like that. You have to have some establishment of hormonal balance, meaning you're getting every sign and signal that you're sleeping well, your energy is good throughout the day, your appetite is good, you don't have cravings, you're pooping well, you're not bloated, and you don't have gas, you don't have heartburn, you've got a good libido, and you can focus and stay focused when you're playing with your daughter. Those are signs that you are in hormone balance. We don't actually have to have a lab test to tell us that. You know if you feel good, or you know if you don't. So I wouldn't continue doing what you're doing if this is the way you feel doing it, right? Could it be something you can come back to? Maybe. And then I'm going to go to Nicky, who asked the first question. You're not confused at all, I'm sure. But this is about the upper body and the lower body and alternating. So I will tell you this. I don't know anything about your body weight, your status, your frame, if you need to gain lean muscle, if you need to lose body fat, if your weight is appropriate, you just want to maintain lean muscle. So we need to know a little bit more about it, because again, I would come back to, how's your energy? Are you maintaining or you're gaining lean muscle mass? Is your body fat optimal? And also then touching on your sleep and your energy, your appetite, your libido, digestion, elimination, all those pieces. Tell me, is it working for you or not working for you? Because what we do know from the research is this. So I'm sharing the science. Don't shoot the messenger. I didn't write it. I didn't conduct the primary science. This is just what researchers found so far to date. That is that 2 times a week, total body workouts, allowing at least 72 hours between, is optimal for boosting metabolism and allowing recovery between. Potentially doing more days per week if you're not doing a longer extended period with more sets, more repetitions for the volume that you need. You're not getting the metabolic lift that you need because you're stimulating fewer muscle groups. And if you were to do that, you would throw yourself under the bus for stress, meaning cortisol and adrenal tax would be greater. And honey, you pay that tax. I mean, so it's a challenge, right? You've got to juggle, why do you want to do that? I mean, do you just love that schedule? So it's not for me to say that's bad, don't do that. And that's not at all what I want to do. What I want you to do is tell me, how is it working for you? What are the results that you're getting? Because your body never lies. Energy doesn't lie. Look in the mirror. Is your skin glowing like somebody who exercises in a healthy dose? Do you have good muscle tone? Do you have great elimination, great libido? Your mood is good. All of the things that you want, but particularly for aging, I would come back to muscle and bone. Bone, obviously, you can't measure as easily. We can't see it unless you've done a bone density scan. At 44, Nicole probably isn't doing that, but she's already got the measurement she needs. Really, it's fatigue that it's probably not working. If you love kettlebell, it doesn't mean don't do intense kettlebell, but it might mean that for you, Nicole, that you need to, if you want this for optimal body composition, you want to be touching a little bit more on reaching fatigue with major muscles during your workout, meaning you're doing some kind of squats and lunges and you're doing some kind of hinges. So we're hitting the glutes, the quadriceps, the hamstrings. You're fatiguing at the chest. You're fatiguing your back muscles, your trapezius and your latissimus dorsi. Those muscles being stimulated and reaching fatigue mean that between the exercise bouts that you do, say at least 72 hours rest between, you recover, you get stronger. And that is when metabolism changes and optimizes. Fitness happens between, in the recovery between, if there was adequate stimulus. So really important things to look at, and don't fix it if it's not broken. So I come back to the first message. You potentially don't need me to tell you, should I change this or do I need to change this? You've already really decided. So in Nicole's case, if you're fatigued and bloated, it's not working. Exercise actually should have a positive effect on your gut microbiome, that good gut bacteria versus the bad gut bacteria. We've got both in there. The right kind of exercise actually will help you optimize. Now, that's not to say you don't also have to eat the right foods and get rid of the junk, unprocess your diet, eat more whole foods, get a wide diversity, stop eating those same things every day or every week, and start looking at a different definition of quote unquote healthy food, because some people can not handle as many greens as they're eating. So there's a lot of oxalates. And for some people, that's problematic. For some, it's only problematic when that gut microbiome is not in the right balance. So we need to get it there. And that might include some things beyond exercise for you, like a probiotic, taking a digestive enzyme. So for a lot of people, betaine HCl is required. You need it in order to help you break down protein. So especially if you're increasing protein. And I often see this in women who add protein shakes like smoothies. The Flipping 50, either plant or paleo based, are included in a lot of our programs. And people who start that because it is so convenient in order to get a meal, a quick one, in minutes that you're blending, and you can take it if you need to take it with you. But because it's a liquid, it's rapidly digested. Often that backfires because we can't break down the protein, and increasing the amount of protein that you're eating, although will be good for your muscles eventually, may be bad for your digestion if you don't have the ability to break down the protein and use it. So yes, you could check the box, I'm getting all that protein, but we might also have to say, but you're not actually using it. You're not breaking it down so your body can use it to the benefit of your muscles without that betaine HCl. So important things to consider that go beyond exercise, but may explain why you're not getting results, if that's true. Now, I don't have that information from either Nicky or Nicole necessarily about tone or the way she might be feeling fit-wise. I only know that she's tired, so I'm guessing we need to make changes there. So exercise that makes you tired, bottom line, or it doesn't help boost your energy, it needs to change. Simply, and it might be a temporary thing. It may be that there's lingering things left from, juggling a career and a young child, a 5-year-old. That's definitely much more high energy than maybe a teenager. I don't know. Those of you parents of teens, you'll probably argue that point. But what I'd love to do is to comment on doing a demanding kettlebell workout 3 to 4 times a week, though it's short, the 15 to 20 minutes, and I'll applaud that. It still may not require 2 important features of strength training that's beneficial for supporting our aging. reaching muscular fatigue every set from your major muscle groups, and allowing adequate recovery between exercise. So first of all, muscular fatigue between each set. So I would caution you that often kettlebell workouts are you're doing X amount or you're doing X amount per minute, but you're not necessarily stopping because you reached muscular fatigue. And that's a difference in the result it's going to have permanently or just for a while on your metabolism. If you change your lean muscle tissue permanently, you gain stimulus, you gain and recruit more muscle fiber and have more lean muscle mass. That's more of a permanent change. If you're just burning calories for 15 or 20 minutes regularly, you need another hit of that. Pun intended. You need another hit of crack or cocaine. And that high intensity exercise is your crack right now. So there's potentially a difference. I want to come back to the very initial program. What is midlife? And it is this question that, I think has a different sliding scale and definition for all of us. But I would say midlife is that time when you're no longer a young adult. You're no longer, but you're also not an older adult yet necessarily. So maybe between like 40 and 60. That's kind of midlife. And, if you think you're going to live to 120, you may push that bar up a little bit higher into your 60s. And I think if your energy and your focus is all feeling good and you're thinking young, that for some will play out into your 60s. There is no Wikipedia definition, by the way, of midlife. I don't think anyway. I haven't looked it up, but so I might have to eat those words. But it's important for you to realize that, what is older adult? That is an arbitrary term used by researchers. So for older adults, older than what? For a long time, it was older was over 50. But at this point, now we live longer. And, not 77, but generally for women, 77 is kind of the average age, I believe, of death, mortality. And yet a lot of our parents, my mom lived to 95, and she didn't exercise, all that regularly. And she wasn't all that aware. They weren't, right, of the processed foods. They didn't have them growing up. But then, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond, the woman had, cheese nips beside her chair, right? So, processed foods were definitely a part of their life. For us, less so. Okay, I hope that's been helpful. If you too have a question, I'm going to put the link to our Flipping 50 Facebook group. It's free to join. It's a great place for you to get answers to your questions. And we'll have other links below that for other episodes you may want to listen to. And thanks so much for being here and being a listener. And if you would do me one favor, just share this if you know somebody who would benefit from listening. Best exercise schedule at midlife. Best exercise schedule at midlife. That's where you'll find the show notes.